Good evening, everybody. My name is Yitzhak Mercado, and we're starting a new program called Torah for Teens. And in this channel, we're going to talk about halachos, the Parsha, Mishnayos, Gemara, and all of those books. So I'm going to start with Parshat Vayechi, and I'm gonna quote some pasukim that have some remembrance for not remembrance. I have a sign of something that's in the Torah. The first one is unity creates love, and love brings forgiveness. Vayikra Yaakov el banav, vayomer chasfu v'agida lachem et asher yikra etchem be'achrit chayimim. And Yaakov called to his sons, and he said, "Gather together, and I will tell you what will befall to you in the end of the days." Yaakov told his sons to gather together, to have achdus, unity. Only when there is unity among the descendants of Yaakov can there be redemption. If there is not yet unity, it is not time for redemption. With this, we can understand that Yosef's brothers meant when they said to him later on that before Yaakov's death, they requested that Yosef forgive them for selling him to Mitzrayim. Commentators are puzzled on the issue of where he requested this. The answer can be seen in our verse. Yaakov asked for unity, the deep love that comes from unity. Where there is love, there is forgiveness. This is a crucial issue for our time. People are very different from one another in many ways, but everybody is special in their own ways, and they come up with their own ideas, and they're just different. They're created differently. But if all of the descendants of Yaakov realize how important it is to have achdus, unity, this unity will bring about a love that transcends the specific complaints one person has against one another. So this parsha talks about that everybody has to love a Jew, a brotherly Jew, and mitzvos you have to it's mitzvos for your brother that you're gonna help your brother with, like bein adam lechavero, and that you help your friend with any problems that he has, or and you all come together and you're all gonna stand out as one big nation after all. The next pasuk is going to talk about working on yourself not to act impulsively. Pachaz Kemayim El Tosar. When Yaakov was on his deathbed, he asked Reuben, "As stable as water, you should not have eminence." Sorry. Rabbi Yerucham Leibovitz commented that the Torah does not usually give metaphors as it does here. The Torah's metaphor is showing us that living reality of the trait of impulsive as water. Just as water flows quickly, so is the behavior of the person who acts impulsively without carefully thinking about what he is about to do. If you do not weigh the consequences of your behavior, you will make many harmful mistakes and will cause much damage. The Torah's metaphor of water serves as a constant reminder of the dangers of being impulsive. Whenever you see water flowing, tell yourself thoughts that will slow down your reactions. Rabbi Simcha Shlomo Levin, the son of Rabbi Aryeh Levin, recalled, "Once I accompanied my father when he went visiting to the prisons. At the prison in Ramal, the warden joined us to take us around and said, 'Look in that cell over there is a man who murdered his neighbor on the day before Yom Kippur, after an angry quarrel with him over some garbage cans. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now he's in grip of strong, gloomy depression, and we fear for his mental health.'" Rabbi Aryeh went over to the prisoner to talk with him and asked how he was. And he said to Rabbi Aryeh, "I'm unfit for you to talk to me," answered the man. I'm a murderer. I hate myself because I could not control my evil impulsives and my terrible anger. If only one of the people around me during the quarrel would have seized my hands and stopped me. What I did is unforgivable." And with that he burst into tears and tore his hair in grief. Reb Aryeh saw that in his depression this man was losing all hope and giving way to despair, with not a drop of self-esteem left. So he went to work to rebuild his shattered self. "Look, you are not a murderous type at all. You did not decide to kill in cold blood. You have only one defect, that you cannot control yourself. Well, that is what you have to work on. This is your life's task now, to repair and correct that defect." Then Rabbi Aryeh added, "Believe me, all is not lost for you. Strive to improve your character, and eventually you will be fit to live amongst people again." For a while, the two sat together, silent and thoughtful. Then Rabbi Levin spoke again. When our father Yaakov lay on his deathbed and gave his sons the final blessing, he said to Reuben, "Unstable as water, you shall not have preeminence." Our sage explained that Reuben was punished. He lost his rights as a firstborn son because he interfered in his father's personal life after Rachel died, by moving his father's bed into Leah's tent so that his mother could have more time with Yaakov. Yet the Talmud states, "Whoever says that Reuben sinned is only making an error." How can that be? The answer is that Reuben had a bad trait, a defect in his character. He was unstable as water. He was not bad by nature or personality. He just had one unfortunate trait, that he was quick-tempered. As the eldest son, he should have certain privileges. He should have been the ancestor of the kings of Israel, not his brother Yehuda. But because of the defect in character, he lost all of that. So this is really what Yaakov told him. "Reuven, my son, it is not that you are a sinner or a criminal, but your problematic character trait has prevented you from fulfilling the tasks and enjoying the privileges that were destined for you." From the time he heard this, the prisoner's mind was calmed. I'm going to quote another pasuk now. This pasuk is going to talk about all traits must be utilized in appropriate amounts. Acholkam b'Yaakov v'afitzem b'Yisrael. Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, "I will divide them amongst the rest of Yaakov, and I will spread them amongst Israel." The Chassam Sofer explains that the dividing and spreading in this verse refers to the previously mentioned anger of the tribes of Shimon and Levi. Shimon and Levi overreacted with violence, but the other tribes did nothing for the benefit of Dinah. This was improper, for they should have taken some action. Therefore, Yaakov said, "I'll take away some of the anger of Shimon and Levi and spread it among the other brothers, for they need more than they have now. Then they will all have this trait in a proper amount." Every trait is necessary. Every trait is necessary. The only question is how much, in which situations it should be used. Someone without anger or zealousness will fail to take action to protest against injustice. On the other hand, excessive anger is extremely harmful. It causes quarrels, hurts feelings, much pain, and suffering. What is needed is a proper balance to be used according to the directives of the Torah. When one is angry, one is more likely to take action. Anger causes inner physiological reactions that give one more physical strength and energy. But this should only be used in situations when this physical strength is needed for self-defense or to defend others, as Shimon and Levi defended their sister Dinah. In daily situations, anger is wrong and harmful. Even when anger is appropriate, it must be used in proper amounts. An overreaction will cause more harm than good. The Hebrew word for trait is midah, which means treasure. One must study each trait from the Torah sources to clarify the right time, place, and amount for each trait. To be a complete person, every trait must be used. Fortunate must be used. Fortunate is the person who has mastered a proper balance for each trait. This is the second to last pasuk I'll quote. It talks about power over oneself is real power. Gora ya Yehuda mitaref b'nei Elit. Yehuda is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. Rashi comments that Yehuda elevated himself by two actions. One, he stopped his brothers from killing Yosef. Two, he publicly embarrassed himself to save Tamar. Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz cited the Kuzari, that is, righteous person is one who rules over himself and all his impulses. Such a person is worthy of being a ruler over others because he will rule over them with the same righteousness as he rules over himself. This, said Rabbi Yerucham, is the reason Yehuda merited being the tribe of the future kings of Israel. In saving Yosef, he ruled over himself not to be influenced by the behavior of the others. He was so self-confident that his brothers listened to him. This is the power of ruling over oneself. Such a person could be a ruler because of his own inner strength and not merely because other people happened to choose him. Similarly, when he willingly caused himself public embarrassment, it took much self-discipline. This ability to rule himself made him a true king. This is the last and final pasuk I'll quote. True peace of mind comes from being able to maintain it under all circumstances. Vayar mincha kito ve'ha'eretz kina na'ama vayat shachomo litzavo. About Yisachar, Yaakov said, and he saw that rest was good and the land that it was pleasant, and he bowed his shoulders to bear. Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz noted, the Torah was given to Israel to Klal Yisrael at Mount Sinai in the wilderness. Some people find this difficult to understand. To acquire the Torah, one must be in a calm state. One needs peace of mind without any disturbances. The Torah, therefore, should have given in Eretz Yisrael when everyone had a home of his own and they were settled in peaceful environment. Why was the Torah given in a wilderness, a place empty of all physical comforts? Just as the Torah itself contains instructions for living, so too the manner in which the Torah was given serves as an important lesson for us. It teaches us how we can make ourselves fit for accepting the Torah. For Torah study, one needs peace of mind, said Rabbi Yerucham. But Hashem taught us the true definition of peace of mind by giving the Torah in the wilderness. People who do not have a proper understanding of character traits mistakenly think that way to have a peace of mind is for a person to have physical comfort. But the reality is just the opposite. Peace of mind that is dependent on physical comforts, the meaning of all of one's needs, is the source of confusion. A person who becomes used to having peace of mind only when nothing is missing in his life will be broken by unusual circumstances. A person who seeks peace of mind by having physical comforts is similar to a person who throws oil on a fire to extinguish it, or to a person who drinks salt water to quench his thirst. For a moment it appears to him that he is putting the fire out or quenching his thirst, but very soon he will see that the fire is burning with more energy and his thirst is even stronger than before. This is exactly what happens to the person who tries to find peace of mind through physical comforts. When a person is able to have peace of mind, even though he is missing comforts and pleasures, when he has acquired the peace of mind necessary for accepting the Torah. How can a person gain this peace of mind? The way, said Rabbi Yerucham, is to be aware of your ultimate goals in life. When you are aware of what life is really about and keep your focus on this, you are constantly in one situation, traveling towards your goal. When you internalize this awareness, you will never be overly disturbed or broken. The reason people are broken is because their life in different life situations and feel much stress because of the changes. When a person experiences one stressful situation after the other, they add up and become overwhelming. But the person who views all life situations as a means to reach his ultimate goals experiences less stress and will be able to cope with difficulties. Soldiers are trained to be prepared for battle. A prerequisite for this is for them to have peace of mind even though all around them in chaos and their lives are in danger. The training exercises for this, said Ruchim, do not include having all their physical needs met. They are not given the most comfortable quarters nor the best foods. Just the opposite. The main exercises are for them to be able to cope with situations when all comforts of home are missing. They are taught not to allow even the most difficult circumstances to disturb them. There is only one goal in all their training: to fight like a hero for the homeland and to defeat the enemy. With a lack of all comforts, they become conditioned to having the necessary peace of mind, even though the situation is very difficult. Similarly, when it comes to studying Torah, the peace of mind that is necessary remains constant, even though one is undergoing hardships and deprivation. When one reaches the proper level of training, nothing will be able to take away his serenity. Therefore, in reference to Yisachar, the Torah states, he saw the rest of good. Yisachar is a tribe that devoted to Torah study. He knew that rest and peace of mind were necessary to master the Torah. What did he do? He bowed his shoulder to bear. By training himself to bear any difficulties, he was able to reach the highest level of peace and mind in all situations. There is a mistake that so many people in the world make, said Rabbi Yochim. They seek peace of mind by trying to obtain physical peace. But this is exactly what creates so much stress and tension in people's lives. There are many people who get married, and on their wedding day, even if one small detail goes wrong, this upsets them greatly. They become so agitated that they do not want to know which world they are in. There's a common expression people use. After someone is married, they say he enters a new life. This way of looking at things is only because they consider every new situation as a change in their life itself. They therefore consider being single and being married as different lives. But that is not reality. There is only one real life situation, and that is journey towards one ultimate purpose in life. Fortunate is the person who seeks before him only the main goal. When a person reaches this level, no occurrences will be able to shake him. He is directed towards a singular goal. One will always find him in a state of tranquility. And those are the pasukim that I wanted to quote from a book called Growth Through Torah. And I wanted to say that all the parshios, they all have a significant meaning to them, and they all have something from back then that has something to do with life today. That something from back then can help us. From back then can help us from what we have in modern times, what we have today. And Vayechi, it talks about Jacob living in he lives in Egypt for 17 years, and he lived there for the rest of his life. When he was 147 years, the time approached for Israel to die. So he called for his son, for Joseph, to say to him, "Please, if I found favor in your eyes, please place your hand under my thigh and do kindness and truth with me. Please do not bury me in Egypt, for I will lie down with my fathers, and you shall transport me out to Egypt and bury me in their tomb." He said personally, "Well, I personally will do as you have said." He replied, "Swear to me." And he swore to him. Then Israel prostrated himself toward the head of the bed. Jacob, or Yaakov, didn't want to be buried in Egypt because since Yaakov, when he got to Egypt, the famine, which Joseph predicted that was going to be for 7 good years and 7 bad years, the 7 bad years, they were only for 2 years. And when Yaakov came, all the famine stopped. And he didn't want to be buried there because since he brought so much wealth and good a good attitude to Egypt, bringing them blessings, they would have wanted that they wanted him to be buried in the river so that they could worship him every day. And because of they knew that he was very blessed from Hashem. And I'm going to say a midrash now about Yaakov's illness and Yosef's birthright. After Yosef returned from Goshen, from the land that he gave to them in Parshat Vayechi, Jacob became ill. When Joseph was reformed, he brought his 2 sons so that Jacob would bless them. The blessing included a major change in the composition of the Jewish people. In that, Jacob elevated Manasseh and Ephraim to the status of his 2 sons, of his own 2 sons, in effect adopting them as his own, thereby transferring to Yosef a double portion of the inheritance. Thus Yaakov removed the firstborn status from the tribe of Reuben and gave it to Yosef's offspring. And that's all I wanted to say today. If you want to watch the video, then go to Torah14.com and you can find the video there in the website. Thank you if you're listening, thank you for listening, and have a good week.